Welcome to the Harnessing Your Divine Feminine show, hosted by Andrea Bagby. We believe that when you give a woman an opportunity, you give her the world. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our videos.
Hello, welcome. Thank you for listening or watching the show today. My name is Andrea, and this is Harnessing Your Divine Feminine. This is where we give opportunity for women to tell their stories, modalities, and triumphs with the world. So today I have one of my most awesome longtime friends, Dr. Free. I'm so proud of her and her accomplishments. And she's with us today to tell her story, which is amazing. It's an amazing story. I mean, it is. Like, she didn't know that I read into it that much, but she came to classes for years. Mm-hmm. And I was like, she's legit. Oh. She's legit. I mean, intuitive, coach, healer, does all sorts of things. So, but usually when she's in crowds at retreats, she sits there quietly and watches people. And every time I'm like, so are you going to teach this time? What are you going to do? She's like, no. And I'm like, okay. So she's going to tell her story today and all about her. Tell us all about you, Dr. Free.
Well, where should I begin? I've been doing spiritual work as a spiritual teacher for years. Mm-hmm. My path, as I like to say, my learning for the experience began in a religious setting in church. Mm-hmm. And that was some of the most fulfilling times of my year for that particular season of my life. I learned so much. Mm-hmm. That was a beginning school for me, yes. I like to say.
Yes.
That's what helped me to identify what is spirituality and what is prayer and some foundational things. Uh-huh. But I got to a place in my journey where I realized I wasn't growing anymore. Okay. And I've always been very inquisitive. Mm-hmm. And I stopped asking questions. And I didn't realize that until I sort of made the connection between the not growing and the mm-hmm. asking questions. It was like I had reached a plateau in my life. And I was like, okay, what? Because all I had known was the church. I got saved, as they like to say it, when I was like 7. Mm-hmm. And I went through every marker in the mm-hmm. church as it was, as the structure of it is designed. Mm-hmm. And I had reached the top. And mm-hmm. I was like, okay, now what? What else is there? And in asking myself that question, I left the church, which was like huge.
That was huge.
huge. Big deal. Mm-hmm. Big deal. Because that's all I knew. Mm-hmm. That was all I knew. And I found such a place of belonging, a sense of belonging there. And so leaving was the beginning, although when one thing ends, another begins mm-hmm. at the same time. And so in that beginning, it opened the door up to allow me more personal growth so that I could begin to experience what it really means to be spiritual or spirituality on another level. And from that, I'm able to teach and coach others based on the understanding of who I am now more authentically as an individual. Yeah, but in that leaving, what it did was it kind of sped things up for me, mm-hmm. right? Which was like, whoa, I'm sure you can relate to that, having mm-hmm. experiences like to kind of speed things up. And in speeding it up, it allowed me to look more at myself. One of the things that it was kind of like a parallel with me, I was studying, my doctorate it's real. I just don't call myself that. I was studying in school and working on my doctorate degree, and my area of study was the effectiveness of African-centered education. Okay. And in that, it opened up a whole doorway for me to experience, because they happened about the same time, me leaving the church and me studying. And one of the greatest takeaways from that, which was foundational in where I am now, mm-hmm. is knowledge of self.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And because beginning of wisdom is the knowledge of self. Mm-hmm. So many times we look outside of ourselves mm-hmm. or looking for someone. And what I've discovered is we're actually looking for ourselves.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
We're all just looking for ourselves.
Yeah. The whole awakening for me, how I define it, is coming home to self, coming home to who you are. But we go on this journey trying to discover that. And when we come back to ourselves, it's at that point that we're maybe in a more stronger position to be able to speak into the lives of others and help other people.
Very good. Yes.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. Thank you. So you were a female minister.
Yes.
Which was a big deal. That by itself is a big deal.
Yes, it was.
Because I've studied a lot of women and I've been in the church too. And that's a big deal to even break that glass ceiling.
Yeah, it was. It was interesting that I had some times where I applied at churches to be their pastor, and they didn't even acknowledge women. No. I was directed to do it. I don't know, we never know all the reasons at the time why, but in so doing, just maybe so they could see, something else at the time, but it was helping me grow, helping me stronger, helping me to be stronger, helping me to maybe embrace who I am a lot more. But even in that, my path still led me in a different direction away from the church. Yeah.
You definitely broke some glass ceilings for other female ministers, though. That was probably a big part of a big purpose there.
Yeah.
And clearly you're a channel and a teacher. I mean, you channel things.
Yes.
And that's ministering in itself, whether you are employed like that or not.
Of course.
Or calling yourself a coach. I always say,
yes,
use the term that best fits you.
Right.
So you have your coaching, your authenticity coach. Yes. I love that. Authenticity. That's a scary word for people.
Yeah.
It is terrifying to be authentic. So why? I always laugh, you like to do easy things. You're like, I'm going to go after the hardest thing ever. Yeah. Let's teach people to be authentic. And that it's a mirror for you.
Yes.
To do more authentic things. And to bring more visibility to all minorities and all marginalized people.
All people, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So what made you decide to be an authenticity coach?
Well, as I mentioned a moment ago about beginning of wisdom being knowledge of self, that's foundational for everything, whether you're talking about health, whether you're talking about relationships, the work that you want to do. I think we flow better and we can show up better in our lives if we have an authentic foundation. Right. And that's with knowing who we are and what we want, identifying our core values, and then aligning our lives with those core values. Because it's not just to say, well, I honor what it means to be trustworthy. That's a core value. Okay, well, how am I being trustworthy?
Right.
Or am I showing up trustworthy just when it's convenient? Or am I showing up to be trustworthy in my relationships? Because when we're authentic, that means that we're doing whatever we can to align ourselves with those core values and with those basic principles that are important to us. But what I found is a lot of times we are reluctant to take the time to sit with ourselves and be with ourselves and do the inner work, or just to take a moment to reflect, to see what it is that's important to me, to see what it is why it is I want to be this, or why it is I want to do that. What is it that's moving me? Am I being moved because it seems popular, or because everybody's doing it? Or am I being moved to make certain choices because it's coming from what's inside of me? And sometimes we are strangers to ourselves, if you might say that, And it takes conscious effort. It takes intention, what I've learned in my life, to be able to do that. But it's the most rewarding thing that I have ever done, was to turn inward and to get to know me. Everyone else is taken. So why not be you?
Right.
I like to talk about it as presenting yourself as the gift that you are, because all of us are a gift. But if I'm spending my time being like someone else or trying to replicate what's already been done, then not only am I cheating the world out of that, but most importantly, I'm cheating myself.
You are.
I'm cheating myself. So the more that I tune into myself and the more that I'm authentic and I allow myself to be that, then I can live that life that's meant to be enjoyed and not endured. I can live that life that has another level of freedom that I may not have had, or I know I didn't have when I was trying to be somebody else. Because it's a waste of my time and my energy to copy, right?
Totally is. All the gifts are in you.
Yes, absolutely.
They're all there.
Absolutely.
They are all there. And so when you are, no, I always say, if you can't sit with yourself, like, do you think anyone else is going to want to sit with you?
Right,
I tell
yeah.
people that, like,
Yeah.
you know.
If you can't enjoy your own company, then how can you expect anyone else to?
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. So when you find that you can more effectively sit with other people now.
Yes.
Without expectations and obligations.
And holding space.
Yeah, and
holding
just hold space.
And know it's, it's okay. Because when we are okay with who we are, then we release those expectations for other people to perform for our benefit.
Right. And that's so freeing. It's like way less energy to stop worrying about what other people are doing.
Yeah. One of the things that I always enjoy is when you are authentic and when you're okay with who you are, then people feel that energy. And they know, okay, I can be me here.
Yes.
And there's something about you. I don't really know what it is, but I'm good with you,
Right.
Or I can talk to you and I can be okay with you, because I'm not judging, because we all have our own journeys and our own lanes. But one of the things I find funny though, people say, well, I'm just going to be spiritual. Well, yeah, you are spirit. So it's not something that's difficult to do. You just embrace who you are. Spirituality it's who we are. It's not something that we do per se.
Right, exactly. We were born spirit. Like
Absolutely.
Spirit, yeah. Like
Absolutely.
we were born here to enjoy.
Yeah, and that journey is something that religion taught me a script to follow.
Right.
Right? But as I evolved, I understood, hey, wait a minute. This is my journey. And I can create it and allow it to unfold in a way that's okay for me. Right?
It is.
And so that's what I like to share with other people in coaching. This is your journey, right? So let's let it unfold and let's identify some limiting beliefs, or let's identify some stumbling blocks or some walls that we may have up so that we can remove those and work on what we need to do to see beyond that so that you can show up differently in your life.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So when somebody books the session with you,
yes,
like you help them identify what needs to go.
Absolutely.
Or what needs to come in.
Absolutely. Gives them an opportunity to know that, hey, this is a judgment-free zone. And whatever your goal is, that's where we can start. And I can help you discover a path to help you get to that goal, right? But realizing that we have to be committed. I'm committed, but you also have to be committed to the process and be patient enough with yourself to realize it may happen. You might find yourself at the goal in a week. You might find yourself at the goal in a couple of days, or it might take longer. But being committed to the process of becoming that none of us are exempt to is key in success. Yeah.
Yes, none of it. And those are the people I think that I see that make it, that you can tell they're really facing themselves.
Yeah.
The authors and public speakers who really gain some notoriety, some visibility, that stay like out of trouble. Yeah, they stay like controversial free. Those are the ones that they're like sitting with themselves.
Yeah.
And they're probably seeing their own coaches and therapists.
It's a must.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a time, especially as a minister, one of the things I dealt with so that was difficult for me was the expectation that when I stood, I had to stand as one who had it all together.
Right.
Right? Yeah. And that was too much pressure. Right?
It is.
It was an amount of pressure that it almost caused me to break, because I'm trying to figure out, I know I don't have it all together. So why every time I stand, I have to act like that?
Right.
Because I'm still a student. I'm still a teacher on the journey.
Right.
And so what I like to help other people understand is, as you mentioned with coaches, we're all in the process of becoming, we're all learning, we're all growing. And so when I share from other people, it's sharing out of my journey from where I've learned some things, from where I've grown, right? And so that others might glean from my experience.
That's right. That's it. That's all you're doing is showing people, being a sort of lighting the way and saying, well,
none of us have arrived.
No.
But all of us have left. That's the way I like to say
right.
it.
I like that. We've all left. None of us have arrived.
Yeah. We're all on a journey.
Yes. And we're always learning new. Oh, I've watched you learn so many lessons throughout the years.
Yes.
It's been amazing. And you always take it too. You're always like, I'm good. Let's do this.
Yeah, I'm hungry. I'm hungry for it. I'm hungry for it. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, there she goes again.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I know that helped me to identify part of my purpose in this journey. I'm hungry for it. You know, it's like I have this insatiable appetite for personal growth and development, right? So to be my most authentic self, a better version of myself, right? And so because I have that passion for it, right? Because it excites me so much, then I can help, or I like to use the word assist a little bit better. Use that word, assist other people as well in their journeys, because it's so important to me, you know, because I can talk about it all the time. You know, this is just my lane. This is where I live. And that passion ignites that passion in other people as well. You know?
It does, because it makes them, it just gives them a different perspective outside of like the worldly perspectives of like how we're supposed to live.
Right.
And even how spirituality is done. Like outside of trendy spirituality.
Right.
Like you're not a trendy spirituality person. No, I love that about you. You're like the grassroots of the spirituality. So when you are just lighting that way for other people, it really gives them that feeling of safety, like a good foundation.
And I like to present things simplistically. I don't know if it's the teacher in me or not. I've been also a teacher in the public for years, and I like to just present things so simply so that everybody can get a piece of it. Because I know sometimes that, and even though those may be some very meaty topics, you know, or some things that have layers to it, I try to present it in such a simple way so that everybody can get a piece of it. So I'm saying that to say I meet people wherever they are. You know, if you feel like you way up here, ooh, I can go there. But if you feel like you're just at the beginning, I can be there with you too. And also saying that this isn't a bad place and this isn't a better place. You know, you are where you are, and we can all learn from each other. You know, I love learning from kids who are so much more in tune a lot of times, so much more on their frequency, just listening to them and watching them be present and enjoying the moment in life. And at the same time, walking and talking with other people who have been on the journey for a while. You know, I have a heart for people who have been in the religious situation and who are waking up and feel lost or feel alone. Because I've been there. I know what this like, but you're not alone, you know? You're here. And none of us are, right. But that's the way I thought. I was like, oh, nobody's going to understand me, you know? I'm living in church, Lord have mercy, you know? I just knew. And there were people that didn't understand and that fell off along the journey. But that's okay. Now, that was hard to accept at the time.
Oh, yeah, they be falling off.
They be falling off. That was hard for me to accept, but that was just the way it was supposed to go, you know? It's kind of like a rocket when it goes up, you know, when it first starts off, it's got the boosters on it or whatever. And then after it gets to a certain elevation, they fall off, you know? So it's like people can be with us for a certain part of the journey. You know, we kind of have something that we all need, but after we get so high, you know, if you get to a certain place, then they fall away. But it doesn't mean that they were not necessary or their role wasn't important.
Oh, for sure.
Or they don't have value, because they do. But this next leg of the journey, so to speak, may not be for them to travel with us. And that's okay.
It is.
Because for everything that we lose, so to speak, it's replaced with something better.
Right. And it's just give everyone the freedom to just be happy.
Absolutely. Everybody has the freedom to choose. Everybody has the sovereignty to exercise, to be who they are, because we all are here for a different purpose. And we all have different energetic setups. We're all different. And we have to give each other the space to be different.
We do. Okay.
And knowing that it's okay.
About 2020.
2020.
All the spiritual people on social media were using the word sovereignty all of a sudden.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they were all sovereign. What does that word mean to you?
That's a good question. To me, what that means is, regardless of what anybody else is doing, I'm going to be in my own frame, energetically, the way I identify, and I'm going to function according to the way that I feel is right for me. And it doesn't mean that it's against anyone else.
Right.
Or it doesn't mean that I'm stopping anybody else. It doesn't mean that I'm right and you're wrong. But it just means that I am existing as I have been, have chosen to, I don't want to use that word ordained, but as I have been called to, as I feel guided to, as I feel led to inwardly, and it's okay. I can do so unapologetically. I can do so with a way that's liberating for me. And as I do that, as I function and as I move in that liberty, then it also encourages and inspires other people to do the same.
That's very good. I like that definition. Yeah. So that we can all do us, and knowing that nothing about anybody, it's not all about me.
No.
Like just because someone else is having an opinion or a day or doing something or taking action, not about me. Right? So that's something I think most people spend their whole life like processing and understanding. So that you just summed it up for people, because I think that most people don't really understand that word, sovereignty, or give themselves permission to be sovereign.
And that's where I got all these different things going through my mind when you're talking. But what you said about the giving people, we all have a different, and the word I was trying to think of, the phrase energetic signature, and we came with that so that we can function and fulfill purpose and continue forward. So it would be a disservice for me to, going back to the authenticity, to try to be just like somebody else, because I came with a different purpose. There's something energetically about me that's quite different, right? And then when you mentioned the permission, one of the things that was so big, and my hope is that this will really resonate with someone, I had to give myself permission to ask questions.
Now you don't stop asking. I love it when you're in my classes, because I'm like, she's going to start the conversation.
I had to give myself permission to step out of the box, because my religious setting said you can do this, but you can't do this.
Right.
And you can do that, but no, don't do that. So all the stuff that I had told myself, can't do that, I did it. All the questions I was told that I couldn't ask, I did. And then the light bulbs start coming on again, and I started just feeling so energized and invigorated again. And so that's so important. Give yourself permission, because if it's coming up for a reason.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And so entertain it. Go for it. See where it leads. Follow your excitement, because the excitement is what opens up that passion, right?
It is.
So and it doesn't have to be anything big. What do I feel like doing in this moment? It might be drinking some water. Go ahead. That excites you, do it. And then do the next thing that leads to the next excitement. And then what you find is you're being present and being in that now moment, which leads to the next now moment, which leads to the next now moment, which opens up this way of being that is almost inexplainable, but so fulfilling at the same time.
And that's exactly what you said right there. That's exactly the key to preventing and reversing depression.
Come on. Yeah.
Because I think depression is our biggest epidemic in this world.
Okay.
Because it's about participating in the world and with your family and your friends and your community. And, I found that you have people like me and you, right? And even from childhood, I'm sure you were the same way. We used to have these huge open hearts and we wanted to fully participate.
Yes.
We were fully in, right?
Yes.
And then we have most people have these adults in their lives, or teachers or caregivers or whoever, that function in a depressed manner. And then whenever you're functioning in a depressed manner, you're not going to be able to fully participate, right? So you have people on this side, hey, let's go play, let's go to the park, let's go do something, whatever it is. And you have people who are here, they're like, I literally, clinically, medically cannot. And I don't know why. So we're going to watch TV all day. We're going to not move from the sofa. We're not move from the bed. And we're going to go to work, and that's it. And then it teaches, I think, our kids to function in that manner, right? And we need coaches and teachers like you who say, no, if it inspires you, do it. Go after that, because you got to participate and be fully present. We're supposed to be fully present in life.
Absolutely.
And participate actively, right? And actively doesn't mean necessarily all behind a screen.
Right.
Not like social media.
That part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that has some think where we're engaging and we're interacting with others, but it has its limitations.
Right.
You know, it's not the same as really being where other people are. You know, you can shop online all day, but there's just something different about going to the store and looking on the rack,
right.
you know, or feeling the merchandise or having the experience of interacting, you know, with a salesperson or seeing other people there. Yeah, it's more of a genuine experience to have. And I think those things are important, as well as we engage with other people in our everyday lives too.
Because most psychics and empaths, that's who you're going to pull in, right? Because that's you. And you're going to exist in your heart and your head.
Yes.
Like heavy. And then you're going to, when you're in your heart and your head all the time, we need people to ground us down.
Yes.
We need that interaction. We need to get out of the store, get out and go to the store and talk to people or go to the class. And then that balances out our chakras, because it is painful being in your heart and your head all the time. Like 24/7, you don't want to be up here all the time.
Yeah. We don't want to, although we're spiritual beings,
right,
having a temporary human experience, we don't always want to be so heavenly minded, so to speak, using that word loosely, that we're not earthly good.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
And then we have this whole, well, it's more and more, even not with the younger generations, it's definitely with the younger generations, but even the older generations are starting to express, wow, this just gives me anxiety. Even coming to a class gives me anxiety. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can, you know, people will like me. I don't know if I can do this. And I tell people all the time, you've got to see a coach or a counselor or someone, right? But I also tell people, you move your energy to your feet. Just move your energy to your feet.
Yeah, and there's several things you can do to be grounded.
Yeah.
I love walking in the grass barefooted, you know, in the park or something like that. Or even just drinking water, sipping water helps is to ground. Those are just simple things that, you know, you can do, or, you know, breath work, or, you know, just one of my little students taught me a cute little thing. She said, you smell the roses and you blow the soup, you know?
Yeah, no, that's good.
And that's a simple way to remember, you know, the breathing technique. Just a lot of little things that we can do that are easy, because spirituality doesn't have to be so far out there. You don't have to feel like it's something that you can't do. Yes, you can, because you are spirit. So those things are easy. And so we can find simple things that we can do to begin, to help us in our journey, to help us to be more grounded, to help us to be more present, to help us to interact more easily with other people, and to help us to deal with anxiety. You know, 5 things I see, 5 things I can touch, 5 things I can smell, you know, just different things like that we can do that are very simple, that can help us so that we can show up differently in our lives. Because guess what? Nobody's going to show up in your life. Why? Because it's your life. Because it's your reality, right?
Yeah, right. We show up in our own lives.
Exactly.
Right.
And nobody can take your place.
No.
Right? Because it's your life. It's just waiting. Our lives are waiting for us to show up. Our lives are waiting for us to shine, you know?
Yes.
There's a quote I like, and I don't want to mess it up, but it, you know, talks about how our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure.
100%.
It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Who am I to say, you know, that I am brilliant? That you are.
Right.
That's the way you're born to be. We're all meant to shine as children do. So when you let your light shine, it liberates others and gives them permission to do the same. Right. So yeah, let that light shine.
To try something new, right?
Yeah, no matter how small it is. If it excites you, go for it.
Go for it. And so we have to, so I had a retreat one year.
Yes.
And the theme was like, be authentically you.
Okay.
Okay. And people were like, no, Andrea, we're not going to do that. That is scary and bad marketing. And I was like, why? I've always been authentic, right? And, or rather, as authentic as I felt like society would allow me to be. Yes. Right? So I was like, I'm going to teach everyone to be authentic at this retreat. And people were like, no, it's not safe for us to be authentic.
But it is safe.
Right.
Yeah, the strongest expression of individuality is vulnerability.
That's our greatest strength.
Yes.
Vulnerability is our greatest strength.
Yeah, when you're vulnerable,
100%.
you know, it's like you don't have the blinders on, you got the mask off, boom, here I am. So what? You know?
Right.
And unapologetically, I'm okay with it, you know? And that's beautiful. Because not only do you shine and you show up as you are, but you give other people the opportunity to see that as well and to benefit from that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And what it does, it brings down defenses.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying? So people are like, oh, I don't have to. No, I'm you, so do you.
Yeah.
You know?
Just do. Yeah. So when you go through the sessions with you,
Yes.
you learn how to be strong in that
Uh-huh.
and to know that it's really not scary. Like,
No.
Tomatoes really are not thrown. I mean, might have a little conflict with like family here and there, depending on what you're authentic about.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And authenticity is not about changing anybody else.
Right.
It's about doing the work on you.
Right.
So, right? And one of the lessons that I've learned in the latter season of my life is that everybody is you pushed out.
Yes.
So the more that you work on you, you see a different reflection of you. And so the person that you thought was an issue, not so much an issue anymore because you see them in a different light. Why? Because you're different.
Right.
When you change you, it automatically begins to change the other people around you, not because you're reaching out to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to use this example. When you look in the mirror
mm-hmm.
and you see something that you want to change, do you reach at the mirror?
Right.
No.
No.
Because that wouldn't make much sense, right?
No, it wouldn't.
But what you do is you work on you.
Yes.
Well, I think I'm going to change this about my hair and my clothes. And then you see a different reflection.
You do.
So it is in life.
It is.
Right? When I work on myself, then I'm going to see a different reflection. What do you mean? The dominant beliefs I have and hold about myself, they'll be reflected differently in the people that I interact with. So my way of being in the earth will be different.
It will
be a more pleasurable, more enjoyable, a little bit stress-free.
Right. Yeah.
way of existing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So instead of always existing in a way where people are trying to prove something or gain some sort of validation outside or just reach for something outside of themselves, like a hero or a savior outside.
That right there. Anytime, one of the things I've really been looking at lately about worthiness, we've been conditioned through programming, unbeknownst to ourselves a lot of times, to look outside of ourselves, as you mentioned, for validation. Never's going to happen. Right?
Ever.
The only worthiness is not something that you have to work toward, as we're conditioned to think in this society, through how much money you have or what kind of job you have and that kind of thing. Worthiness just is.
It just
period.
is. Yeah.
Right? But through conditioning and programming, our awareness of that worthy gets eroded away, right? But when we awaken to the true nature of reality and we understand who we really are, then we understand that we're worthy and we've always been worthy, right? It's kind of like the love piece. When I understood that, I like to keep it simple, right? If a dog can have puppies, right? And a cat can have kittens, right? Then what does that mean about spirit or about who some people call God? Mm-hmm. Then that means if I am an offspring of that,
right, then
I too am God consciousness.
You are,
right?
Absolutely.
So I don't have to think of myself less than that. Mm-hmm. Then I am worthy, right? I am loved. So if and I like to define God as being love, right? Or source. So if God is love or source, then what does that make me? That makes me love too, right?
It does.
When I got that, it changed everything. So when I look back at my life, there never has been a time when I've been without love.
No.
Always been love.
Always.
Love has always been there for me. Mm-hmm. Love has always shown up for me. But because I had this veil of forgetting that I had to pull back to understand who I really was, I had to deal with that. But when I look back, I'm like, wow, I've always been loved. I've always been worthy. It was not something that I had to work for or have. It just is.
And then you can make requests better or explain yourself better, just communicate better once you realize you're worthy and loved,
Because when we try to get validation from other people, we're pulling on them and wearing them out. And you can never give a person enough pats on the back or never tell them I love you enough when they don't know that they're worthy. Because they'll always be pulling on you rather than acknowledging that within themselves. Rather than validating themselves. You know? I'm a superstar just because I'm a superstar. Mm-hmm. this is my reality.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just like your reality.
Mm-hmm.
You're the star in your reality.
And then Spirit does send us pats on the back.
Yeah.
You know, throughout. But if we're seeking it or looking for it all the time, then we've lost direction of what we're doing in the first place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it's, if you can teach kids, you can teach anyone. Like, we never really, we always can learn from a third grade lesson.
Absolutely.
You know, I've taught all ages spiritual stuff. And basically, it's like all this game, the same skill set from like 9 to 90. It's like
Absolutely.
the same lessons.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And sometimes when it's said more simplistically, and it's easier to digest, because, you know, sometimes ego, well, I want to impress, and I want to say it in such a way. No, just keep it plain.
Right.
Just keep it plain, you know, so that I can take it and move with it. And then that way it isn't loaded, so to speak.
Right.
And I can put meaning to it that's right for my life, and somebody else can put meaning to it that's right for theirs, which is another thing, you know. The only situations that have meaning is the meaning that we assign to them.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Because we can all be sitting in the same place and have a different experience. It's like, what? No, what? How did you? Yeah. It meant this to me. Well, it meant totally different to somebody else. And guess what? It's all okay.
It is.
Yeah.
It's all okay.
Because we all have different goals, which just goes back to the authenticity. We all have different reasons for existing and different things we want to learn and at this particular juncture in our life, or different things that we want to experience, which I believe is part of the reason that we're here. We are to experience, we're having our own experience with God consciousness. God experiencing itself through us.
We do.
In a way that's unique for us.
And we shouldn't waste time with that.
Right.
Keep every day experiencing that. We waste too much time, I feel like.
Yeah, we can by waiting or wondering what they're going to do.
Or just negative self-talk or being scared to do something.
Yeah.
You know, so you do Zoom and online? You do Zoom?
Yeah, the coaching opportunities that I provide are online. Yeah. And I do group coaching, you know, if there's a small group. Instead of having a ladies' night out at, you know, wherever, you can do a small group coaching event. I can do that if you have topics of interest that you're interested in. If you're interested in conscious manifesting, if you're interested in how to create altars, if you want to know about, you know, how to develop relationships or whatever you want to do to work on you personally, whatever the topic, you know, I'm open to that and discussing curriculum of sorts that will work for your group or that will work with you personally to help you to accomplish whatever your goal is.
I like the concept of group coaching because it's not so like you don't have like a coach staring you down, wondering why, you know, did you do your homework? So I like the group because I think there's some safety in groups.
Yes.
So I do think that group coaching is like and then from the group coaching, you can kind of lead into personal one-on-one coaching.
Yeah. And it gives people an opportunity, you know, to grow with people that they consider, you know, important to them in their lives. Because, you know, it's the people that are in the group are usually people that are significant to them in some way.
Right.
You know? So you can grow with them and use those as opportunities to explore and then develop those relationships even, you know, outside the coaching experience.
Right. Because there's people who, there's this whole market for coaching.
Yes.
It's like tons of people fit into that coaching market. You know, and everybody needs some sort of coach to literally like have an objective party. You're like very objective, very non-judgmental.
Yes.
And I like it that you know how to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
And you teach people how to talk to everyone, even people different from you.
Absolutely.
What a concept. I know. I have to teach people that all the time.
Yeah.
You can be in community with people different than you.
And really that's what makes the learning opportunity so much more exciting, you know? Because it's more inviting. Okay, what are you bringing to the table?
Yeah, right.
And you're so much different. And what are you bringing to the table? And what can I glean from your journey? And how can I take that and add that, you know, to what we're doing here? Because perspective is everything. So somebody else is bringing in a different perspective that just adds to the moment
It really does.
Way. Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. And to not be triggered in that environment.
Yeah. And then understanding, even with that triggering is a good thing.
It is.
When we see the beauty in it. Yeah. and understanding that, that now that you've got that trigger, so now let's look at it, and let's use this as a stepping stone, as a point of reflection. Well, why am I triggered? What's the story behind that?
Right.
Because we're always telling ourselves a story. You didn't even know them, and they triggered you. Okay, so what were you really telling yourself?
Right. We are always telling ourselves a story.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even know we're always telling ourselves a story.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have to say, why am I telling that story?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which has been a growing point for me, realizing that there's always conversation going on in our heads, and having an awareness of that conversation, and then learning how, which I can do in coaching, learning how to change that conversation, because the story that we tell ourselves is what will continue to manifest in our lives. But when we're understanding conscious creation, then it's like, wait a minute. When I see this person, let me begin to tell a different story.
Yes, always.
Let me begin to see them as their ideal self instead of something that existed in a whole different time, in a whole different reality that isn't even relevant to this moment. So both of us can have an opportunity to enjoy this moment, And so having that awareness of those inner conversations and learning how to change those and make those more productive, has really been instrumental in something for me to learn and to equip to be able to help other people.
Yes, that's very good. And I think that's so much of a part of spirituality. Yeah. And it's spirituality is very mundane. It's literally like being aware of your thoughts.
Yeah.
Being aware of your triggers. And that's how we get to the magic of manifestation.
Yes.
It becomes magical after you're aware of all this.
Yeah.
So did you write a book?
Well, I'm working on a book for adults right now, but it's still in the process. I've got several children's books that I have written. They can find on the website, BeYouWithDrFree.com, and it's spelled that way, BeYouWith, Dr. DR, no period, FREE.com, BeYouWithDrFree.com, or they can email me for more information there as well, BeYouWithDrFree@gmail.com. But the books are for children, beginning at about age 8 or 9 on up to like age 11. They're picture books, but they have timeless messages in them. And they're written on the foundation of law of attraction. Mm-hmm. So it gives some great tools to help young readers, more so to the inquisitive-minded young person. One of the last ones that I have written, there's a workbook in the back of it to help with healing, to help young people to understand. The book was written so that both young people and adults could benefit from the book. And in the back, there's a section with questions for young people and a section with questions for the adults so that they could understand the emotional makeup more. Mm-hmm. It's called My Emotions and Me, a guide for youth and their caregivers, and which I'm really proud of. That would be a blessing for the family. Another one is Beautiful Me, Imagining Me, and then Special, Just Like Me.
I bet they're all really amazing books.
Yeah, I like to think so.
Probably for all age groups.
Yes.
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 So you're working on a book now too, right?
Yes, I'm working on it. Part of it, I'm looking at worthiness.
Yes.
And it's just going to be foundational in helping the reader, or assisting the reader, as I like to say, in really moving to that next place, that next version of themselves in the process of becoming and being more authentic. So looking at what it really means to be worthy.
Right.
Looking at what it really means to be significant. Because whether we know it or not, we are all significant. We think we're not, but we're significant simply because we exist. Not because you get an award or some accolade, but just simply because you exist. I like to explain it like this. One of the ways I like to describe God's source is the all. I like to call it the all. All right. So the all means that the all exists in all creation, right? Right. So if the all exists in all creation, that means the all is everywhere. The all is here in the table. The all is in you. The all is everywhere, right? So if the all is everywhere, that means, I know the all is in me, then watch this. I'm going somewhere. That means the all cannot be the all without you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's powerful.
It is. It is.
That was life-changing for me. That helped me to realize how significant my presence is.
It is significant.
Right?
Yes.
I don't have to, what? I'm here for a reason. Well, so what they helped me deal with, I don't have to worry about being rejected. I'm part of the all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to worry about being ignored. What? Because I'm part of the all, right?
Right.
And where the all is, there is everything. There's love. There is abundance. And all those things are my birthright, right? And then understanding through the coaching process to help people understand that. That's who you are.
It is.
And that is awesome.
It is awesome. That's just the key to life, really.
Learning to celebrate who you are.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You definitely have a big life purpose.
So all of that stuff that's going to be in the book.
All of it's going to be in the book.
All that kind of stuff.
Well, we are excited about that book.
Yeah. So there'll be some information about that on the website to be forthcoming. So they go to the website and check that out. And I've got a lot of free things on there as well that can help people in the beginning of their journey about, being authentic, some little courses that you can work through that give those self-reflection questions, because I can put it out there, but you've got to put yourself in a position to allow yourself to ask those questions and to sit with it and do those self-reflection so that you can get to a greater place of knowing about yourself.
Yes. And that's the work.
Yes.
That's the work that we're doing, to do every day to get to the goals.
But it's so worth it.
It's
so worth it.
It is.
It's so worth it. Yeah.
Because life does get easier when you do the work.
Absolutely.
It
Absolutely.
does.
It's like, okay, and the stuff that used to bother you, it's like, okay, not so much.
Or I learned I could just turn it off.
That part.
Like I'm just turning it off. So it was like, oh, I'm actually allowed to just turn it off.
Yeah. And just know it's okay. It took me a minute to get to know how to coexist. And I was like, you're doing this. Yay. Because I can be at work and there be chaos all around me. And I'm just like, I'm good.
You're good. You're good.
I'm good. And it's okay because I've learned how to be in that own frame I talked about, and being in my own space and being in my own lane and knowing if I choose to interact there, it's okay. But if not, it's still okay.
It really is.
Yeah.
And that's spirituality right there. Like it's kind of chaotic sometimes. And we can choose.
We can choose. Yeah. And be in that place of peace, and being in that place of surrender, even though I don't always understand.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Trusting it.
Yeah.
Which is a big word. I know. I get trust and
Oh,
all that. But it's good and it's worth it.
It is. It's very good and worth it. Any final words for our listeners?
Yeah. Let's see. As I think about authenticity and what that means, knowing you, getting to know yourself is the most important thing. Because the most important relationship we have in this life is the relationship that we have with ourselves. So when you get to know you, then it changes and transforms everything. Everything. So knowledge of self is the beginning of wisdom, and it will help us to create that life, that reality that we dream of. But it's not about being outside of ourselves. It's about taking the time to sit with ourselves and look inward.
It really is.
Yeah.
What's the website one more time?
Be you with drfree.com. And that's also the Gmail. Be you with drfree at gmail.com. BEYOUWITHDRFREE.com.
You can also find her on Instagram sometimes. Yeah.
And TikTok, and it's at Dr. Free 777, I believe is the TikTok. Yeah. But I'll have all those connections as well on the website.
And then if you go to HYDF.online, I can find you. She can find me or something. We'll find each other. We are all connected as one.
Indeed.
So thank you so much for sharing your story and your wisdom with us today.
Yes, and thank you so much for the opportunity to do so.
Yes, I always get excited when you're going to come to something. Like, I'm always like, because you're going to offer good things,
Thank you.
Okay, so share this with everyone and also give a woman an opportunity today. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
The Harnessing Your Divine Feminine show is produced by 8 Robinsons TV. Subscribe for only $30 per year for access to exclusive and archived content. Visit www.8ROBINSONS.tv. Thank you for watching.